What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday, September 17th, 2020. I hope this video finds you well today. At least in this video, we're going to talk about a little bit of MLB baseball for FanDuel and DraftKings Main Slate. It's a 6-game slate. There are a bunch of day games. We're not really going to discuss them. I do believe there's a doubleheader floating around. But we're just going to focus on the main slate tonight. If you're a double dipper, DFS grinder, we've got MLB, we've got Thursday night football. So it should be a fun night nonetheless. There's Coors on the slate with the Dodgers in town. So it could be one of those nights, right? But nonetheless, we're going to play the hands that we're dealt. We're going to have some fun and hopefully find a couple of spins and swerves to make some money on both FanDuel on DraftKings as well. If you guys are new to the channel, I need your help. This is a call for help. If you're not subscribed to the channel, we, as I'm speaking, about 10 subscribers away from 5,000. It would make my entire day if we finally broke that 5K threshold. I feel like I've been stuck between 4 and 5K for years. I really feel like this has been the longest 1,000 sub grind ever. I have other channels on YouTube that I've already, eclipsed the 1 to 2K in like the last 3 months. So I don't know why this channel is struggling so much, but we have been pumping out a lot of football content lately. That's kind of taken me away from the ability to post some baseball videos. I did have a little bit of time, and the last couple of days I've had a bunch of people say, hey man, you miss your baseball content, particularly because of the pitching stuff. Well, one of the things we added, if you guys haven't seen the football content or anything on the channel, one of the things we added on this YouTube channel is a membership program. YouTube has allowed me to basically implement a paid membership service on the YouTube channel. A lot of other content creators might have like a Patreon. It's kind of like Patreon, but it's built in through Google. So all the transaction, all that stuff is through Google. And if I'm being honest, one of the reasons why baseball content is such a low priority is because of the low viewership. And that's not just me. That's just every sports content creation. Baseball just has a lot less people interested, I guess. And it's really boring to listen to some guy talk about stats for an hour or two. So I'm actually able to maybe prioritize baseball a little bit higher now because the channel has about a $15 CPM, which is basically $15 per 1,000 views. If a baseball video was just getting a couple hundred views, it really wasn't worth the time of day to speaking to a mic. But having channel memberships, having people be able to say, hey, I like this stuff this much, and I'm willing to, offer $2, $5, $10 a month, kind of offsets the it being worth it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Basically, I'm going to try and do a little bit more baseball content between now and the playoffs and maybe into the postseason. And the biggest reason I'm able to do this is because the addition of channel memberships and a lot of you guys showing love and support. So if you really want to see the baseball videos more often, hopefully maybe close to daily. I can't promise daily because of football. Maybe consider getting one of the memberships. You can get the low membership. Then, of course, if you guys want a little bit extra content, try that $9.99 membership. That'll get you access to a Gundecker Gaming spreadsheet. It's not quite the Run DFS one. Access to some private Discord channels and separate Discord. Bunch of good perks that we've explained in the channel memberships video. So check that out throughout the duration of this video, which is brought to you by RunDFS.com. I will be referencing the RunDFS.com MLB VIP spreadsheet, and we've made a couple of adjustments in the last couple days. Up until today, the hitter stats have been extracted from the last two seasons, meaning 2018 and beyond. Today I decided to cut out the 2018 season, and we're just living from the beginning of last season till now to hopefully give us a little tighter window, better results. And the pitch report, the same thing. The pitch report, as of last week, is now just showing pitch data from this season, such as pitch types, pitch percentage, and velocity, stuff like that. So definitely not new, but just a couple tweaks that we've made to the spreadsheet. So if you guys are Vipers, be cognitive of a few changes. But nonetheless, I'm excited. 6-game slate tonight. We're going to break it down. We're going to open up the RunDFS.com VIP spreadsheet. If you guys want to add this spreadsheet to your daily research repertoire, if you are one of the DFS players coming back because of football, and you're like, all right, now my accounts have money in it, I want to grind during the week, I do believe that this is probably the best product for a new MLB DFS player to learn MLB DFS stats and information in a quick manner, and be able to display all of what I believe is the most pertinent metrics, advanced metrics, and display whether or not they are positive or negative. Pretty easy system. Green means good, red means bad. So if you guys want to maybe start dabbling in some MLB DFS, because it's not often that you really have this chance to double and triple dip, even if you're an NBA player now without a home. Check it out, man. Go to RunDFS.com, make an account, click the VIP banner at the top. A couple options up there. I would say get the week pass. You never tried it before? A week pass. That'll unlock access to the baseball spreadsheets, the football spreadsheets, and the 24/7 VIP Discord for the RunDFS.com server. Looks a little something like this. And there are a whole lot of grinders in this one. We're talking 60, 70 members at all different bankroll levels and sizes, hitting at all different prize pools. We'd love to mention Jake's 100K win a couple weeks ago. People have been hitting quarters and mini maxes and mid-tiers. So there's something for everyone there. Last night, a fun night for DFS, especially if you faded Jacob deGrom and had Kyle Higashioka. If you had Jacob deGrom, a lot of screenshots were sent to me where you still cashed mightily, and then you had that 0 on FanDuel from deGrom. So I feel for you guys. What could have been if you had an average game from deGrom? Man, if that's you, my heart goes out to you. But hey, it's another day, another opportunity to make another dollar. So let's get into it. For some good luck, why don't you hit that thumbs up for me? And remember, $20 PayPal giveaway every Monday. It's not just for NFL viewers. It's for anything on the channel. So if you guys are subscribed, you hit that thumbs up, and you leave a comment, that'll be worth one entry into the Streamlabs $20 PayPal raffle giveaway, which we'll do on the Monday Week 2 review video. If you participated last week, the winner of Week 1 still has not contacted me. Daniel, I'm looking at you. So reach out to me. Let's get you set up with 20 bones. Tonight, the Cardinals at the Pirates. I just finished watching the 30 for 30 Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire thing as I was doing some busy work. Fun to relive some of those big Cardinals seasons, especially that season. Even though it was a bigger season for the Cubs than it was the Cardinals. But fun little segue. Cardinals at the Pirates. First game on the docket. On the bump, Dakota Hudson. He's 3-2 with a 2.92 ERA. He's going to look for his fourth consecutive win after he carried a no-hitter through 5 2/3 innings against the Reds on Saturday. He struck out 4, worked around 4 walks in 6 innings. He'll be doing battle with Stephen Brault, the southpaw. He's 0-3 with a 5.06 ERA. He's going to try to get his command on track to pitch deeper into his 9th start of the season. The lefty, who's allowed 7 runs in his last 8 2/3 innings, has not completed 5 innings since his August 19th start against the Cleveland Indians. If we're looking at game totals here, we got an implied total of 4.8 for the Cards, 3.8, just 3.8 for the Pittsburgh Pirates. If we're looking ahead at the slate, this is going to be a slate that features Shane Bieber up against the Detroit Tigers. It's going to have Coors. So I do believe there's going to be a lot of SP2 seekage or even some alternatives to just fading Bieber. Is Dakota Hudson one of those options early on? I don't have the warm and fuzzies. I do think he's one of those pitchers that is due for a little bit of regression. His ERA better than his Sierra and XFIP, even though that has been the case for the preceding 2 seasons. High ground ball rate guy, keeps the ball in the park for the most part. The walk rate, you'd love to see that come down a little bit to righties. But the Pirates will likely throw out a lot of lefties, a lot of switch hitters batting lefties. And overall against lefties this year, he's been just fine. 3.78 xFIP, 23.1% K rate, a 125 average allowed. Does have a 1.3 home run per 9, but a serviceable hard contact rate, a pretty low fly ball rate. I think Dakota Hudson's going to be somebody we're going to have to consider here for pinch and pennies. Even if nothing else, 6-game slate, not a whole lot of people going against a team as weak perceptually as the Pittsburgh Pirates in a pitcher-friendly PNC Park. So no quarrels for me when it comes to taking some stabs here at Dakota Hudson. Like I said, you're going to have to play somebody past Shane Bieber. I think Hudson at least profiles at the best. 20, 13, 29, 11 in his last 3 games. A little bit of a wide range of outcomes there. It surely seems like every other game lately is 20 plus or 11 to 13, and the last game was 20, so maybe this is the 11 or 13 game if you believe in patterns. But yeah, I think a little bit of Dakota for me. If we're bat seeking here, Stephen Brault, he's a guy with a high xFIP to both sides of the plate right now. Does strike out lefties at a 31.3% clip this year. Cardinals going to come out pretty righty heavy against righties. That K rate drops almost completely in half, a 261 average allowed. High walk rate, 13.2%. Line drive rate's high, but everything else is pretty serviceable. Nearly a 50% ground ball rate and an elite hard contact rate at under 27%. So not somebody I would love to play at 5,900, but if he could get past this walk problem, looks like he could be an inning eater and maybe get you a shot at 10 DKP. Cardinals against lefties, they seem a lot better on paper. This was a team that features some names that I love against lefties. I'll gladly play a guy like Tommy Edman, Paul Goldschmidt, guys like that. It's going to be a pitcher-friendly park. It's going to be a game that not a lot of people are going to target for offense. Goldie, I think, would probably be my favorite option here. And if Tommy Edman isn't at leadoff spot since the beginning of last year, he has slugged over 600. So certainly somebody I could look at to maybe sit on that first pitch from Brault and maybe give it a ride. So don't mind that. On the Pirate side, if I was going to pick something against Dakota Hudson, there's really not a lot that I think bleeds through. I will say maybe the home run ability or propensity to lefties is something to keep an eye on. Hard contact rate last year to lefties 44.5%. This year just about 39%, which isn't egregious. I think it's maybe a hair above league average. Is there anyone in the Pirates you trust to hit for power? Not really. Ryan Hayes has been good, but he's only been up for a cup of coffee. And then Josh Bell, he's got a little bit of torque in his bat, but nothing that makes you write home about. So overall, I'm kind of in agree with the Vegas totals here, pretty low and uninspiring on both sides. Give me a little bit of Dakota Hudson. Let's move on to the next game, Mets and the Phillies. Looking like Seth Lugo taking the bump here against Aaron Nola. Last night, Jacob deGrom hurt his hamstring and had to leave the game. Today, Seth Lugo taking the bump. The Mets are confident enough in Lugo as their number 2 starter that they are pitching him like Jacob deGrom every 5 days rather than every 5 games down the stretch. Lugo owns a 2.65 ERA since joining the rotation. He'll be up against Nola. Nola 5-3 with a 2.4 ERA. He's been pitching well recently, posting a 1.65 ERA in his past 4 starts. This will be his first of 3 more scheduled starts as the Phillies make a push for the playoffs. Implied total for the Mets, 3.6 for the Phillies, 4. So we got a sub-8 total projected pitchers duel. And this is a Mets team that saw opposing pitcher Zach Wheeler go deep on him last night. Nola's a guy that's been really, really good at home. There's a couple of instances, or at least one lately, where he was a pretty trendy play and put up that -4 against Atlanta. But since then, he's really, really, really bounced back, giving you 20 plus. Is he an alternative to a to a Shane Bieber? Can he keep it going against a Mets team that he put 20.6 on? Sure. 20 fantasy points at 10.1K isn't something that I'm going to salivate over, but it is at least comforting to know that the Mets bats last night were kind of sleeping, and Nola at home has just been so good. A 2.2 xFIP, a 38% K rate, 133 average allowed. There is potentially some weather concerns to have in this game. I don't play the weatherman. I'm just here to spit stats, so I'm going to go ahead and mark this as yellow in the spreadsheet. But you guys do some diligence throughout the day. Keep an eye on the weather. Listen to the weathermen and what their thoughts are. Seth Lugo, he's been just fine too. ERA pretty much in agreement with a Sierra and xFIP. Can't really disagree with the Vegas totals when it comes to the advanced metrics of the starting pitchers. Seth Lugo, 7.1K on DraftKings. Usually if you can get me to that 14 to 20 window, I'm okay with it. Last couple games, 11, 25, 16, 16. I'd walk away with 16. He did drop 26 against this Phillies team. Obviously, that would be ultra beneficial to lineups if you had him at 7.1 for 25. So I'm glad to take shots on him. Is this one of those spots where we would head stack against the pitchers? It's hard to get behind, on paper, picking against either pitchers and seeking specific weaknesses. But if we wanted to pick on Nola against righty so far this year, 1.67 home run per 9. J.D. Davis slugging 500. Peter Alonso maybe. Outside of that, Nola's been really, really good at keeping the ball in the park against lefties. A hard contact rate under 32%, ground ball rate at 56%, and this is going to be an extremely lefty-heavy Mets lineup more than likely, right? So I think both pitchers are in play here. I don't hate the idea of playing both pitchers in the same lineup, maybe trying to scoop the win and just go forward with it. A lot of big names, right? A lot of big names to be pitching against, but it is what it is. Keep an eye on that weather. Let's move on to the next game. Blue Jays and the Yankees. My Yankees, man. A couple weeks ago, it was looking dark. I thought there might have been a range of outcomes where the Yankees just straight up didn't even make the playoffs. They were on a horrendous losing stretch. Had AAA spring training-like names in the lineups. But in the last couple days, they've gotten Giovanni Urshela back. They've gotten Aaron Judge back yesterday. Giancarlo Stanton back 2 games ago. A week or so ago, we get DJ LeMahieu back. So a lot of bats are back. Meanwhile, we've learned that James Paxton's out for the remainder of the season. And if this team makes a playoff push, it's going to be guys like Garrett Cole, maybe Davy Garcia, and today's starting pitcher, Masahiro Tanaka, who will be towing the slab down in the Boogie Down Bronx up against Chase Anderson. Anderson 0-1 with a 5.81 ERA. It's going to be a key outing for Anderson, who looked good in August, but is coming off 2 rough starts in September. As the Blue Jays try to line up their staff for the postseason, Anderson could be considered as anything from a starter to a bulk inning reliever, and that's something that the Blue Jays know all too well in the last 2 games, as the Yankees have been putting on a home run derby. A little bit ironic, two games ago, they hit so many homers and so many extra. They put up 20 runs, and Giancarlo Stanton comes back from the DL and draws like a walk for 2 fantasy points, right? But meanwhile, the rest of the team has 10 plus. Aaron Judge, a little bit of the same yesterday, right? Everyone was hitting dingers. He went 0 for with 3 Ks. So hopefully they find their bats, but what a good time for the rest of the team to kind of pick them up. Masahiro Tanaka 2-2 with 3.16 ERA. He leaned heavily on his 2-seamer in his Friday start, offering a different look as he faced the Orioles for the second time in 5 days. The results were excellent as he notched the win with 5 innings of 1-run ball. So make no mistakes about it. No matter, it doesn't matter how hot the Yankees have been the last 20 games. The Blue Jays are right on their tail, and these games are important for both teams. If we bring up the AL East standings, I'll kind of display it aesthetically. The Yankees are just 1.5 games above the Blue Jays, and every win or loss here is a whole game, right? A lot of other teams go by half-game increments, but this is one of those scenarios where every game matters. So the difference between being the number 2 versus the wild card is there. So the Yankees are trying to unload and get it going, but the Blue Jays don't want to go away quietly. So you would imagine you see that coach that way going forward. This is not a playoff game, but you might get some coaching with playoff thoughts in mind. With that said, the Yankees have a strict regimen when it comes to easing players back from the IL. We saw that yesterday. Giancarlo Stanton, after coming back on day 1, sat day 2. Aaron Judge came back yesterday. Pretty unlikely that he plays today, or at least starts today, especially after going 0 for. Usually the Yankees like to start one game, get the next day off. We saw DJ LeMahieu kind of disagree with that, right? He wanted to play. So I'm expecting Aaron Judge to not be in the lineup today. It's just going to be Chase versus Tanaka. But nonetheless, this Yankees lineup has been on fire top to bottom. DJ LeMahieu, Luke Voit, these guys are hotter than the sun. Yesterday, Kyle Higashioka hit 3 homers out of the 9th spot as a backup catcher. Just a crazy contribution from him. Chase Anderson, if we're going to pick on his weaknesses so far this season, 3.09 home run per 9 to lefties with a 333 average allowed. Just 26 innings of sample size, so regression hopefully coming his way. And we know he pitches in a extremely hitter-friendly ballpark when he pitches out in that Buffalo Stadium. But Yankee Stadium is pretty friendly to lefties as well. Could we look at an Aaron Hicks to take advantage of that? Maybe. I don't think you're going to get any of the other lefties in the lineup, guys like Mike Tauchman or Mike Ford or anything like that. But we'll see if Aaron Boone shakes things up. You never know. Against righties, a 21% K rate, 3.96 xFIP, 276 average allowed, 1.3 home run per 9. Hard contact extremely low with a ground ball rate at 44.4%. Line drive rate higher than what you would want it, but it certainly seems like if you went just on his righty splits, you can see a range of outcomes where going against a righty-heavy lineup, maybe he fares a little bit better than guys like Tanner Roark did yesterday and bullpen arms like Wagas Pak and guys like that. Nevertheless, the talent here for guys like LeMahieu and Luke Voit is just at an extremely high level that I would not talk anyone off of these guys if they wanted to. The Yankees have an implied total of 5.7. Behind Chase Anderson is a bullpen that's just been getting taxed. So no quarrels and no pushback for me if you want to load up the Yankees for a 3rd day in a row. Though I would imagine their ownership is going to be a little bit higher today after hitting 6 homers in back-to-back games. So take that for what it's worth. There certainly seems like if Chase Anderson pitched to his splits, that he could be a little bit spoilish when it came to lineups. It's Masahiro Tanaka, a guy we can play today. This season at home, a 4.77 xFIP, 22% K rate, 271 average allowed, and a 2.08 home run per 9. I think if there's a game that the Blue Jays take, it could be this game against Masahiro Tanaka. He has not yet, though, allowed a homer to righties, but against lefties, a 2.42 home run per nine. This could be a spot for Kevin Biggio, Travis Shaw to get involved. Maybe they light a little spark here and get something going. If we look at that pitch report for Tanaka versus the Blue Jays, he has been using the fastball slider combo a lot and using his splitter less. Splitter, of course, was one of his more flagship pitches, right? So just kind of playing with soft velocity and kind of being a change of pace guy that could throw you a little bit of everything. Curveball, changeup, splitter, on top of a soft fastball and a softer slider. But that slider's been extremely effective, as has that curveball, 2.02 grade on a linear scale. Same with the curveball. Changeup, only negative pitch has been the fastball, and that's a pitch that guys like Biggio have a plus grade, Bo Bichette has a plus grade. Travis Shaw does not, which is surprising, but maybe the fastballs they've been seeing are not as low as 92.2 miles an hour. So I don't have the warm and fuzzies here on Tanaka. I am rooting for him to get into playoff shape. He's one of the guys that the Yankees have leaned on like a rock going into playoffs in the last couple of years. And so far, this Blue Jays offense, outside of Buffalo, definitely hasn't been something that I'm ultra scared of, with a 416 team slugging overall. And even on the season against righties, just 437 slugging. So I can see both sides of this fence playing off. I think the Yankees bullpen is pretty well rested. You know, putting some laughers out there, and the back end guys, the Chapmans and guys like that haven't really had to come out and spend some innings. So even if Tanaka did have one of those games where only went 5 or 6, I definitely think the bridge is pretty strong into the bullpen to maybe put out the fire. So I'm not going to go overly crazy with thinking the Blue Jays could be an offense here. But if we're thinking outside the box tonight, a little bit reverse of what the field might be at, certainly wouldn't be crazy to see the Blue Jays have a game here. But I think in multi-entry, I could see both sides. And then, of course, like I said, Yankees should be a little bit trendier. This is a Dodgers core slate. But it's hard to look past a team that's been homering like the Yankees had the last couple days. And I don't think the field will generally show Chase Anderson as much respect as maybe his isolated righty splits suggest. With that said, I'm specifically keying in on those righty splits, assuming this Yankees lineup is super, super righty heavy. If Aaron Boone and the Yankees analytics department do decide to get a little creative, give Tauchman and Ford and Gardner, you know what I'm saying, Hicks, they could really put forward Tyler Wade, could be in the mix. They could have 4 to 5 lefties that they pull from if they really want to go analytic heavy, but we'll see what they end up doing. I can't imagine any scenario where Stanton isn't in the lineup after a day off, where LeMahieu and Luke Voit, who are on fire. Luke Voit, I think, is leading or tied for the lead in homers in the American League, which is nuts. I can't imagine scenarios where those guys don't make the lineup. But Luke Voit did look like he was hobbling yesterday after his bomb, so maybe the Yankees err to the side of caution. Let's move on to the next game, Rangers and the Astros. Last night, Kyle Gibson put up a huge game against this Astros team. You just absolutely hate to see it. I don't know how the Astros could be so average to below average this year versus how good they've been the last couple seasons. I really can't explain it. Like, it's almost like they don't know what's coming. I don't know what to say. Jordan Lyles on the bump here for the Texas Rangers. He'll be up against Framber Valdez. Jordan Lyles 1-4 with a 7.8 ERA. He's 0-3 with an 8.62 ERA and 4 starts and 2 bulk relief appearances in his last 6 outings. He pitched 5 innings in relief against the Astros on September 1st, allowing 3 runs in 5 innings. Framber Valdez 3-3 with a 4.08 ERA after going 2-2 with a 1.72 ERA a 1.09 whip, and 1 homer allowed in 31 and a third innings in his first 5 outings. Valdez has gone 1-1 with a 6.92 ERA, 1.35 whip, and 4 homers allowed in 26 innings in 4 starts. So a little bit of a tough stretch. With that said, the Rangers' offense is uninspiring altogether, but especially uninspiring against left-handed pitching. They come out with a just meager lineup. Isaiah Kiner, Falefer, Nick Solak, 2 guys I definitely get behind against the left-handed pitching. But for the most part, look at the K rates we got in this Rangers lineup against lefties. 33% from Leody Taveras, 40% for Gallo, Odor 30%, 32% for Guzman, Eli White at 31%, 33% for Jeff Mathis. So if these are the numbers that we're going to get, and this is all from the beginning of last season, Valdez absolutely someone that can hit the mix here. 3.58 overall Sierra. XFIP is very respectable. Swing and strike rate close to 10%. I'm all about some Valdez. I wish the price tag was a little bit softer on both sides, right? 9.1 on FanDuel versus 9.2K on DraftKings. If I'm playing 9K for a pitcher on FanDuel, absolutely got to have that 6-inning shot at a quality start. I guess he's done that, or he's eaten 6 innings in 3 of his last 4 games, 4 of his last 5. Basically every game except 2 of his last 10. So he certainly does give you the argument for a quality start. But the other requisite here is give up 3 or less runs. Am I going to hold the Dodgers and Angels against them? No. He did drop 20 against Texas. Can I replicate the 20 performance? Sure. Certainly would want a little bit higher ceiling at 9.2K, but I do think it's in him. So I don't mind Valdez here at home this season, averaging 18.7 DKP. Sure, I'll fire him up. He'll be in the pool. Jordan Lyles, I know Kyle Gibson did his thing last night, but I don't believe I can get behind Jordan Lyles. A 13.4% K rate to righties this season, a 13.9% to lefties. He's just not missing bats. A 6.1% swing and strike rate, a 1.64 whip. I got to do better than that, and I don't think I can bite the bullet on that. Certainly opens up the propensity to introduce Astros players to the player pool. Everything profiles well. George Springer, Altuve, Brantley, anyone that's been struggling with the old strikeout. But how about Kyle Tucker here? If we really wanted to give you a name, 3,300 on FanDuel, 4,400 on DraftKings. After updating the bond detector to pull just from the beginning of last season, Kyle Tucker was second on the slate in bomb rating at 4.11. If you guys are unfamiliar with the bomb detector, this is an algorithm that I wrote to consider some of my favorite predictive analytics for home runs, such as hard contact, fly ball rate, pull rate, stuff like that. And Kyle Tucker's right up here with a 4.11, second best on the slate behind Justin Turner and Coors. So Kyle Tucker, yeah, welcome to the lineup. If he gets a good spot in the lineup, I might even increase my ownership on him. If you look at his game log, last couple games it's been pretty meager to bad. 3 DKP, but in baseball we can't really be overreactive to fantasy points in that far right column. I'm willing to just trust the analytics here. At Oakland, tough stadium to play at. That is one of the top teams in baseball. At Los Angeles, I think I'll be gladly buying into some Kyle Tucker and kind of trusting my own creation here. But I do think you can stack the Astros. Astros have an implied total of 5.9, one of the highest on the slate. That's actually higher than the Yankees. I feel like they always come in with a high total, but this is Jordan Lyles. He just has not been good. The Rangers bullpen rested after what Kyle Gibson did last night, but the bullpen's not something that you'd run from. If you look at the bullpen uses tab in the rundfs.com MLB VIP spreadsheet, yeah, I guess they could really go to anyone. Seems unlikely that they would go to a guy like John King after throwing 37 pitches on Tuesday. But for the most part, like, it really seems like everyone's wide open here, and they can go a lot of lefty-righty. So no one in that bullpen that I'd be especially scared of. So give me some Astros bats here. I'm probably not going to stack Rangers. I will have Framber Valdez as a pitcher, perhaps a fixture in my player pool. And then we will matriculate on to the next game featuring probably the highest owned pitcher on the slate, if you can get him, Shane Bieber. He'll be slowing the tab against Casey Mize. Bieber 7-1 on the season with a 1.53 ERA. He gave up 3 runs last time out, but Bieber still went 6 innings with 8 Ks. He's recorded quality starts in 9 of his 10 outings this year, while logging at least 8 strikeouts in each start. Casey Mize 0-1 with a 5.85 ERA. He gets another matchup opposite Cy Young Award contender. After dueling with Lucas Giolito on Friday in Chicago, Mize took a no-hit bit into the 6th inning before a leadoff walk and a double fueled a White Sox rally and left him with a no decision. So you don't need me to tell you Shane Bieber's in a good spot here. Tigers really a lineup that really hasn't been something to be scared of. They have a 28% K rate against righties on the season. Don't hit for a lot of power, right? Respectable 161 ISO. It's not chock full of guys that I'm leaning on here, right? And no one on the team right now since the beginning of last season has an ISO over 450 since against righties. So really not a problem here for Shane Bieber. Hashtag DFS, sometimes variance and bad luck happens, but Bieber's just a matter of, do you feel like you can afford him, put him in a lineup that you like? Of course, you deal with the age-old struggle of, man, how do I handle Shane Bieber or the Dodgers and Coors? But Bieber's just in an elite spot that he could literally give you 30 fantasy points at the top of your lineup on DraftKings and could compete for 60, 70 on FanDuel. This season, in one game against the Tigers, he scored 39.4 DraftKings points with 11 strikeouts in 7 innings. So got no pushback on Shane Bieber. It's just a matter of, are you comfortable with your balance of that versus forcing or having exposure to the Coors game. Casey Mize 6.3K on DraftKings, 6.2 on FanDuel. His numbers against righties pretty respectable. Advanced metrically, a 3.89 xFIP, a 26.7 K percentage. The home run per 9 is 1.69, but if you guys are students of the advanced analytic game, I don't personally believe that a 1.69 home run per 9 is sustainable on a 24% hard contact rate and just a 34.5% fly ball rate. It just seems like that number is fluky. So I'm not gonna dog him for that. His xFIP to lefties is high. This is a switch hitter, lefty heavy Indians lineup, so he's got to get around that. But I do think he is a talented enough pitcher that at 6K, if I wanted to SB to him on some Bieber lineups and maybe just shoot for one of those guys to scoop the win, sure, go for it. I'm not especially in love with it, but if you look at his schedule, as an AL Central pitcher, he's been in death row. I mean, look at this. Look at these offenses he's had to face this season. The Chicago White Sox, Minnesota Twins, the last 3 games. Those are 2 of the more dynamic, high-ceiling offenses in baseball. The Chicago Cubs, first-place Cubs. Again, the Chicago White Sox. He's essentially had to face the White Sox and Twins his whole career, and the other team he has had to face is the Cubs. His pitch count maxed at 83 here, but at 6,300, do we take some shots at Casey Mize? I think he's one of the Tigers' high prospect pitchers. We'll pull up his minor league card from MLB.com. But I do think there's at least an asterisk next to his name when we look at his big league numbers so far, because he's really had to face some above average offenses. I mean, if we just go to leaders in batting via FanGraphs and just check something real quick, I'm going to pull up all team stats versus right-handed pitching. And I want to sort all the teams by WRC plus. So we'll go to advanced, WRC plus. So Twins and White Sox are two of the top 10 teams in WRC plus against righties. Cubs are right there at league average. So if you scroll down, in 25th, there's the Indians with WRC plus of 86. So I definitely think it stands to reason that he's had a strength of schedule that's just somewhat unfair to overreact to his results thus far. If we pull up his minor league stats, Casey Mize, 3.6 ERA in 35 innings to lefties, a 246 average allowed, a little bit higher than you wanted, but a 1.14 whip, 32 strikeouts in 35 innings, still able to get strikeouts. Home runs, 3 homers in 35 innings, so usually 1 per 10 is about an average, right? And against righties, 43.2 innings against righties, sub 3 ERA, 44 K, so a strikeout per inning, 1.08 whip, and his home runs allowed 2 in 43, so much better than his numbers to lefties. So I'm willing to give Casey Mize a shot here. I think the price for a guy that maybe can muscle me 15 fantasy points, maybe 12. 1 through 4 from the Indians, they're not really going to strike out a whole lot. You got some problems there. But you get past Santana here, you got some Ks built into that lineup. A lot of guys that strike out 1 and 4, 1 and 5. You just got to get through the top 4 here. If you can get through this order twice, could I get 5 innings, 10 to 15 fantasy points on the low end, and maybe get one of those, hey, I'm the prospect guy here? Sure. So I'll buy into it. His Sierra and XFIP are lower than his ERA. They're not something that's pristine. But like I said, I just don't think it's fair to judge him against all matchups that were just bad, like bad matchups for him. And now he does get a top 5 matchup in WRC plus. So, and not only that, if we look at ISO against righties for all these teams, the Twins are 4th in the league in ISO. White Sox are a little bit above league average. The Cubs are 8th. And then you scroll down, Indians are 26. So, he's been going against top half teams in ISO and WRC plus, and today he gets an Indians team that's bottom 5 in ISO and WRC plus. So I definitely think there's a case to punt some Casey Mize here, and maybe he's the bridge between a Bieber and a Coors exposure, right? Anyway, speaking of Coors, we got 1 game left on the docket. It is Coors Field. Before we do that, take a pause for the cause. Let you guys know that 2 hours before lock today, I'll be in the RunDFS.com MLB VIP voice chat. You guys can grab a mic, jump on in the conversation, have some fun with me and the gang. A really fun, tight-knit community in there. We like to chop it up. Yesterday, these are grinders for all sports. So if you guys are going to be playing Thursday Night Football Showdown, it's not just going to be baseball only, right? They're going to talk about that. I'm sure they're going to be sweating golf. And when Raj gets in there, what is it, Thursday? Wednesday, Thursday? I'm pretty sure we're due for our weekly Michael Jordan versus LeBron debate as well. So if you're any DFS sports you're playing tonight or you're sweating, there's guys in there that are probably joining you in that regard. So if you guys want to be part of that, go to RunDFS.com, make yourself an account, click VIP passes, and try out the week. You owe it to yourself. Try it out a week. $25, less than $5 a day. 24/7 Discord access, daily voice chats, football content, baseball content. I put a lot of work into it, and a lot of people. There's like a over 90% recidivism, repeat business. A lot of guys are lifers, and they let me know that we're doing something right? Dodgers and the Rockies, your main event tonight. We got Julio Urias taking on Kyle Freeland out there in the cozy confines of Coors Field. Urias 3-0 with a 3.53 ERA. His status as a contender for the third starter spot in the first round of the postseason got a boost with his start Saturday, allowing the Astros 1 run in 6 innings. His walk rate is up and strikeout rate is down this year, so Coors Field will provide a further test for him. The Dodgers, of course, last night clinched a playoff berth, So maybe they all got drunk last night and then they traveled to the altitude, and this could be a hangover game. I don't know. Kyle Freeland on the bump, 2-1 for the Rockies, 3.54 ERA. He's going to be making his second start against the Dodgers. He gave up 3 runs on 4 hits and 6+ innings at Los Angeles on August 22nd. So Rockies are usually a team I do like against lefties. 284 team average against lefties. OPS flirting with 800, a 163 team ISO. Obviously Trevor Story, Nolan Arenado guys we key in on. But all year, Matt Kemp has been 3,300. Like, they don't move his price on either site. And he's a better bargain on DraftKings. So if he's going to crack that lineup, yeah, since the beginning of last year, batting just about 300, slugging 520. Yeah, I'll take some of that. And Kevin Pilar, same thing. Elias Diaz, 2,500 as a catcher in Coors with a platoon advantage. Yeah. So I don't know what's got it into the pricing for Coors this year on either site, especially DraftKings. It just used to be that no one in Coors was like less than 4,500, but it hasn't been the case this year, and it does make stacking Coors a little bit easier. With that said, obviously other games could pop off. Yankee game could pop off. Astros projected to drop 6. But it's hard not to like some of these cheapos here. Even when the Angels went to Coors, like Jared Walsh was just so cheap. And yesterday, I think he hit his 7th home run of the month on ESPN. So certainly going to like the usual suspects on the Rockies side. The Rockies have an implied total of 5 runs. With that said, the other night, Sean Manaea came in, lefty for the Athletics, and just mowed down the Rockies. So it's definitely a range of outcomes where the Rockies could just disappear. And I probably would put a Rise as a... I would say tougher. I guess against righties this year, Rice hasn't been great. There's a negative xFIP to righties in 2018. That's a fun stat. But for the most part, like high K rate against lefties this year, 31%. Does that neutralize a Blackman or something like that? I don't know. But against righties, a sub 20% K rate, 258 average allowed. Hard contact, right about league average. Fly ball rate's low. Line drive rate is high. Does he use a lot of breaking balls, curveball, changeup? A curveball at 18% could be a problem. Slider. So maybe he has to lean more on the fastball changeup here today. And even changeup could have a little bit of break too. So I don't see myself pitching Arias here. Definitely will have some back pocket Rocky stacks. And I'll probably fall into a lot more Matt Kemp at 3,300 than I would at like 4,300 or even 4,500. If they were priced like Coors bats. And Elias Diaz, 2,500 Coors catcher, yeah, I'll take that, sure. On the Dodger side, Kyle Freeland, good luck, kid. 4.52 xFIP this year against righties, 13.8% K rate, 273 average allowed. I will say to his credit, a 52.5% ground ball rate. And that's been, essentially sustained at home this year, 51.7% ground ball rate. So he's keeping the ball on the ground, which helps him keep the ball in the park. And if, this game turns into a ground ball fest, especially for the Dodgers, you could see that spoiling some Dodger stacks. So if you are a guy that can remove yourself from the just an idea of, oh my God, the Dodgers are in Coors, you can see a range of outcomes where they're getting spoiled, right? Dodgers, I'm sure, had some drinks yesterday after celebrating their playoff berth. And then, of course, going into the altitude and you're facing a ground ball pitcher. So I could see him playing some spoiler to some stacks. With that said, all bets are off once the bullpen gets in. And even so, against Kyle Freeland, right, Mookie Betts, Justin Turner's at the top of the bomb detector today, 4.12 bomb rating, 4 being that magic number. So I certainly would be looking at him as a guy to get behind. Will Smith could be a middle-of-the-order catcher. A.J. Pollock, he's been hitting in Coors half of his career, it seems like, between the D-backs and Dodgers. So I got no quarrels against the obvious bats from the Dodgers. For me, it'd be Mookie, Turner, Pollock. If I wanted to turn it around, Seager and Cody Bellinger are both guys I would chip in a chair just because they're in Coors. Cody Bellinger actually had the number 3 rating in the bomb detector. Sure, I'll take that. And then, yeah, it's Coors, right? It's that Coors. You don't need me to really break it down analytically, right? So that's what we're dealing with here. So if I had to come back here and start my lineup, maybe give you guys, I don't know, 5 names to play with before we get news. I kind of like the idea of putting Bieber with gambling on a Casey Mize game at 6,300 just to give me a chalk block and Bieber. Go get some Mize. That gives me 41 per. I just said Matt Kemp's too cheap. I don't care. I'm playing him. You play the punt catcher, which is Elias Diaz. If he makes the lineup, if Elias Diaz doesn't make the lineup, Will Smith is still affordable. I don't think Higashioka would start today because he started yesterday, and Gary, I think, DH'd. I can't see them holding Gary from behind the plate 2 days in a row, especially, as we prepare for the playoffs. He's got to get just keyed in with Tanaka, but Higgy did hit 3 bombs yesterday. I don't know that I'm chasing that, but just an idea. But anyway, right now I'm just going to lean on Elias Diaz because I believe he started against the last lefty, Manaya. So Elias Diaz, Matt Kemp, give me half of a cheap core stack, guys that make sense. I would love to get to a Trevor Story. Is there a history here for Story against Urias? I'm sure he's got a couple at-bats. Story is batting 143. Normally going to be a guy I go crazy for against a lefty in cores. He's attainable at 55, but maybe we trust the bomb detector here just a little bit, right? So I'll run back these cores bats with like a Justin Turner at 5K. I said I liked Kyle Tucker at 4-4, so I'd play that, and that's exactly how much I have per position. So here's probably a couple names and numbers I would play to kind of get my lineup started in single entry so far from lock. I don't know, after talking about these games, guys like LeMahieu, guys like Luke Voigt, I believe they're going to be matchup proof options for me from the Yankees. I do like Framber Valdez if I wanted to really open up my pocketbook and get away from Bieber. I do think Kevin Biggio could be an issue for Tanaka. But that's it. I mean, I think most of these games project pretty above average pitching-wise. So I kind of like the start of this lineup. So hopefully you guys do well. Hopefully you guys appreciate this video. Like I said, about 10 subscribers away from hitting that special 5K mark here on YouTube would be a fun milestone. Hopefully catapult into the future. If you guys want to keep seeing baseball content, let me know, man. Hit me with thumbs up, comments, stuff like that. Every little bit helps push the channel forward into the algorithm. I found out yesterday that me putting links to a certain other media entity that I use could be impacting YouTube's propensity from displaying me higher in the return. So I'm going to stop doing that. So we'll see if that shakes things up a little bit. But nonetheless, man, I appreciate the real ones that really appreciate the baseball breakdowns. Like I said, it was hard to do it to 50 to 100 views, but if you guys show some love, if you guys get those channel memberships, it'll certainly offset my care for the views, and they end up paying for themselves. So we'll have some fun here. Look out for more NFL content on the channel throughout the day. We got the premium premium memberships Saturday strategy videos coming Saturday. I think I'm going to go over grouping in NFL and maybe even stacking for baseball. It might be a little late for that lesson. You guys let me know. I did put up a community post for all Legend members to read and respond to about what you guys might like to see me cover in a strategy video. So look out for that if you are a Legend member right here on the YouTube channel. If not, look into it. See if you might want to show some extra love. That'll be it for me. I appreciate you guys sticking with it. Go out there, crush it tonight. Twitter.com/GundeckerSports. If you guys got anything else for me. Otherwise, I love you. Good luck. God bless. Go win some money.